Dear friends, you're on the Military with Summary channel, and in this video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous 12 hours. We have a lots of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we're going to talk about the conflict on the territory of Ukraine, where during the previous night both the Russians and the Ukrainians once again used hundreds of drones to attack the territories of each other. First we're going to talk about the Ukrainian attack that took place during the previous night. So the Ukrainians, according to media and according to local sources, attacked the city of Melitopol, and right now in front of your screens you can see the moments when the Ukrainians attacked an object of energy infrastructure, and right after this hit, power outages occurred in the region. Another important area that was attacked by the Ukrainians is the central part of Russia. Overnight we received lots of updates that the Russians were trying to bring down the Ukrainian drones over the city of Belgorod and Belgorod region. The Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation stated that overnight the Russians destroyed 85 drones of the armored forces of Ukraine, but despite the fact that the Russians managed to destroy almost every single drone that was launched by the Ukrainians, it seems that several drones managed to break through Russian air defense and to get the city of Taliati. During the night we received lots of videos of consequences of attacks. We see explosions, we can see fire. Yes, the Ukrainians managed to break through Russian air defense, but it seems that they haven't managed to deal significant damage. It seems that there is a fire and some explosions as a result of drones that fell on the surface on the territory of these plants. No big damage was recorded, as we can see according to this video. Another important thing is that during the previous 12 hours we received lots of updates about attacks that have been taking place since the 1st of April of 2026, and the most important, we start receiving updates about the consequences of these attacks. And I would like to discuss with you an attack that took place in the southern parts of the Lugansk region, and here we can see how Ukrainians, as a result of reconnaissance operation during the 2nd of April of 2026, managed to discover several air defense positions of the armed forces of the Russian Federation, and when they discovered them, the Ukrainians began bombing and attacking these territories, and as a result of attacks, several air defense systems of the armed forces of the Russian Federation were completely destroyed. Now let's discuss the Russian attack that took place also during the previous night. The Minister of Defense of Ukraine this morning stated that overnight the Russians used 286 drones to attack the territory of Ukraine, and most of explosions and attacks took place, according to information we received this morning, in the Kharkiv direction and in the Poltava region. So this video was published this morning, and here we can see how the Russians, as a result of reconnaissance operation, managed to discover an IRIS-T air defense system of the armored forces of Ukraine, which was located in the Poltava region. And as you can see, as a result of attack, this air defense system was destroyed. So it seems that first the Russians suppressed air defense forces of the armored forces of Ukraine in this region, and then the Russians began attacking this. During the night we received lots of updates that the Russians were attacking objects of gas infrastructure and energy infrastructure on the territory of Poltava region. As of the morning of the 4th of April, we still haven't received even a single video that can confirm this, but we believe that during the upcoming day we will receive the necessary information. Furthermore, according to media, lots of drones were recorded over the city of Kharkiv. In this video we can see how drones were flying over the city of Kharkiv without any resistance from the Ukrainian side. We can see civilians walking through the streets also without being afraid of these drones. They are flying without any problems, without any resistance from the Ukrainian side, seeking their targets. I would like to remind you that yesterday, between the 2nd and the 3rd of April of 2026, there was the biggest attack ever since the beginning, probably, of the special military operation over the city of Kharkiv, and the sources reported that the Russians used 91 drones to attack the territory of Kharkiv between the 2nd and the 3rd of April of 2026. It seems that the Russians were trying to suppress and to destroy air defense positions of the armed forces of Ukraine as well. Furthermore, during the night, we received lots of videos from the western parts of Ukraine regarding consequences of attacks that took place also between the 1st and the 2nd of April of 2026. In this satellite comparison video, we can see the changes between the dates before attack and after attack. It seems that according to this video and according to this comparison, the Russians attacked another object of energy infrastructure on the territory of the settlement by the name of Pirechin along the border with Slovakia, and some object of energy infrastructure was destroyed. It seems that the Russians destroyed a substation that supported trains between Slovakia, Hungary, and the territory of Ukraine that Ukrainians were using probably for military purposes. Now let's discuss the situation on the ground. During the night, we received lots of very interesting updates, and first let's talk about the northern Sumy direction, where the Russians are keeping infiltration process, and these are the changes on the ground between the days. According to neutral mappers, during the previous days, the Russians managed to approach the settlement of Bachevsk along MO2 road, and this is the first, let's say, village in the northern Sumy direction, which is located not along the border. So I would like to remind you that during the 2026, the Russians captured the villages of Kharkovka, Komarovka, Belaya Bereza, Babylivka, and many other different towns and villages along the border. But that was the first layer of settlements along the border, and the Russians wasn't moving deeper. And now we start receiving updates that the Russians decided to move deeper, and now they're fighting for the first villages along the second line of towns and settlements along the border, which is a very important flag and signal that the Russians are going to keep advancing further in the direction of the settlement by the name of Glukhov. Now let's move further and let's discuss the situation in the Sumy direction, where additional changes on the ground were also recorded. The Russians, according to pro-Ukrainian sources, improved their positions on the territory of Kondratyevka. More precisely, an infiltration zone was added in the central part of the settlement, which first of all signals that the Russians are keeping advancing. As for the eastern Sumy direction, the clashes, very heavy clashes, are taking place around the settlement of Miropolye, and this information during the night was confirmed by neutral mappers. The Russians are keeping advancing in this area, and the Russians are trying to improve and to infiltrate additional units and forces further in the direction of the settlement of Miropolye. The Ukrainians are trying to concentrate additional forces around the settlement of Velika Rybitsa by bringing FPV drone operators, warehouses, ammo depots, service centers. The Russians control the situation, but when they see another temporary deployment point of the armed force Ukraine recently created, the Russians attacked this territory with aviation. During this video, we could see how the Russians attacked barracks and hangars belonged to the armed force of Ukraine. In the southeastern direction, additional changes were recorded around the settlement of Ryasne. Pro-Ukrainian sources reported that the Ukrainians have prepared themselves before the beginning of the battle for this strategical town. It seems that in coming days we will start receiving first updates from the territory of the settlement itself, and it seems very heavy clashes are going to take place in this area in coming days.
Af og til har du brug for en lønsikring. Hos Af og til har vi Danmarks billigste A-kasse og lønsikringspakke.
Now let's move further and let's talk about the Kharkiv direction. Here we have additional changes as well. The Russians are keeping improving their positions along the border in this big forest between the city of Volchansk and the northeastern part of Kharkiv region. So these are the changes on the ground between the dates. As we can see, the Russians improved their positions significantly, and the Russians are keeping improving their positions on the territory of the Seversky Kadonets forest. As for the Kupiansk and Slaviansk directions and Kramatorsk, Konstantinovka directions, during the previous night we haven't received anything special. Probably the most important thing is that the Ukrainians are stopping the Slaviansk thermal power plant. This power plant is shutting down its operations. Furthermore, the Russians continue bombing and attacking the central part of the city of Konstantinovka, trying to force the Ukrainians to fall back from the most southern parts of the city. And I would like to remind you that there are very heavy clashes for the southern parts of the city, and it seems that it will still take a month before the Russians are able to establish complete control over this settlement. As for the Zaporozhye direction, during the previous night, lots of updates were recorded along the line between the villages of Ravnopolye, Uspenovka, and further in the north towards Privolya. I would like to remind you that the Russians began their counteroffensive, their Zaporozhye counteroffensive operation in this area, with the purpose to recapture positions they lost during the Ukrainian February counteroffensive operation, and we see lots of attacks, lots of explosions, lots of strikes that were carried out by the Ukrainians along the line of combat contact, which means that the Russians are trying to attack positions of the armed forces of Ukraine and to restore control over the territory. Lots of videos were published during the previous 12 hours. We believe that in coming days we'll receive additional changes in this region as well. We have covered most of the updates about Ukraine that we received overnight. Now let's discuss another important update. According to information we have